I'm gonna get so much hate for this video. Oh my god. Before I start this video, let me say that I love Gossip Girl so much, and it's one of my favorite trashy TV shows. I know, just like everybody else, I'm no special. I know. I just need you all to know that, okay? It's not really easy for me to make this video, to like go deep in his character, because it's just hard. And it's hard to realize the many problematic things that he has done, and maybe thinking about the possibility of the fact that he might not have changed, or his redemption arc maybe was undeserved. But let's just be open-minded. Let's have a conversation. I'm here to talk about Chuck Bass as a character. I'm gonna bring up, things that happen in the show. I'm gonna try not to be so negative, but yeah, I just wanted to know, I don't hate Chuck Bass, okay? Okay. The more I rewatch Gossip Girl, the more I realize that I don't know if I like Chuck Bass. The inspiration I got into making this video was from a video from one of my favorite YouTubers, Dylan is in Trouble. He has a series on his channel where he watches the first episode and the last episode of a TV series, and he did one video of Gossip Girl, and his impression on Chuck wasn't exactly a very positive one, and he even mentioned stuff that got me rethinking my opinion on him. I mean, of course, he didn't watch more than those 2 episodes, and he didn't got to see, the whole show, his entire storyline. So, but it really got me thinking if Chuck really deserved a redemption arc. And I also wanted to make this video because I feel like nobody really talks about it. We just forget everything that he has done, and we just talk about how iconic Chuck and Blair are, and I think we should, talk about it. I'm so nervous. The first impression we have of Chuck Bass is that he's an asshole, a privileged rich white boy, a boy that doesn't see women as anything but an object. In the very first episode, Chuck harasses Serena. He even tries to blackmail her when the whole Shepherd wedding thing where she slept with Nate. And he also sexually Danny, which resulted in him getting a very deserved punch by Dan, and it's still the very first episode of the show. So the show doesn't exactly paint a nice picture of this guy, and definitely wants us to not root for him. Otherwise, why would you make him such an unredeemable character and someone so easy to hate? In later episodes, he sleeps with Blair and starts developing feelings for her, which he tries to ignore, and they continue sleeping together for a few episodes. There's one episode where he steeps Gossip Girl that Blair slept with him and Nate, and I don't remember exactly why he does that. I think it's because he was angry because Blair stopped sleeping with him, so I think he was angry at that or something. Blair and Chuck start a relationship at the end of the season after he admits his feelings. However, it doesn't last since Chuck gets influenced by his dad, and instead of going with Blair to Europe due to his fear of commitment, he stays seducing one of Bart's workers. In season 2, it's revealed that Chuck stayed in Hamptons trying to get over Blair with a different girl every day. As soon as Blair returns from her trip to Europe, he regrets it, but it's too late. We get the iconic
3 words, 8 letters. Say it, and I'm yours.
But as we all know, he doesn't say them. Dan becomes close to Chuck, and he reveals his mother died in childbirth and he feels responsible for her death. However, Bart admits that was a lie, and he has problems being close to Chuck because he resembles his mother. When Bart finds out Chuck was planning to buy the bar Vanessa wants to save, he calls him a disappointment. Bart dies, and Chuck is not exactly doing the best, to say the least. It's revealed that Bart left most of Bass Industries to Chuck, and his uncle Jack says him up to show that he's unsuitable for the job and succeeds, until Lily ends up adopting Chuck so they can take over the company. Chuck sleeps with Vanessa due to finding out that Blair and Nate get back together, and when asked by Blair about his feelings for her, he claims she was just a game. And Chuck is hurt when Gossip Girl reveals Blair slept with Jack. Why would you sleep with the uncle of the person that you love? It's just something really weird. I don't understand, but anyway. And in the very last episode of season 2, he finally says those 3 damn words and they kiss and start dating. In the beginning of season 3, they seem very happy and in love. Their relationship is based on them playing games to ensure that their relationship stays exciting. Hey, I'm gonna keep my opinion to the later half of the video, okay? They stop playing the game due to Blair's request. Chuck tries to make Blair feel better after her failure at conquering NYU, telling her she was able to make him an honest man. And I have a problem with that statement, like him comforting her by saying that. It just is like, oh, you fixed me. It just gives us that vibe of like, you know, she fixed him, and you know, people don't fix people. She sets Chuck up to kiss a man, and when Blair's plan is revealed and how she used Chuck, she tries to apologize to him, but he needs time. In the anniversary of Bart's death, he gets a bit overwhelmed by everyone, and when he goes to the hospital to see Serena, he's overcome by emotion and Blair comforts him. When he visits his dad's grave, by the way, who was in that grave? Like, did we just miss out that whole information? Because at least Pretty Little Liar had the whole Bethany Young thing, but here, did they just ignore that? He sees a mysterious woman who may be his mother, and after spending a lot of time trying to find her, she finally tells him that she is his mother. The whole mother thing is another plot line that I never fully understood from this show. Chuck receives sexual harassment lawsuits involving employees from the palace, and the lawyer advised him to sign over the company. He decides to give it to his mom, but how the turntable, she was actually working with Jack to basically ruin Chuck's life. She claims she was in love with Jack, and she later tells him she lied and leaves New York. At this point, I still don't know if she is actually his mom or not, but you know, just one of the many things we will never know. By the way, the whole sexual harassment lawsuits, they literally just brushed it off. Like he was like, okay, I'll pay them, whatever. Like they didn't even like care. So that speaks of his character at this point. Chuck sells Blair to save his hotel. And when Blair finds out, asking for an explanation, Chuck blames her, saying she's the one who cheated, even though he planned it. I'm gonna be bringing up the whole selling her for a hotel thing for the entire video, because I just don't understand how can you supposedly love someone so much that you're willing to give them up, not even give them up, like selling them off just for a hotel. Like he still have money, he still have his coin. Even if losing that hotel would mean a ginormous loss, economic, financial wise, he couldn't find another way. Like Jack told him that the only way to save the hotel was for him to sleep with Blair, and like you didn't even bother to find another reason. And the fact that you knew that Blair will do absolutely everything for you, even sleeping with your uncle, like, and the fact that you blame her for it, oh my god. She breaks up with him, as she should, and he realizes he fucked up. He offers to throw Aurora a wedding. While Blair wants to get back together with him, she can't because she couldn't live with herself if she stayed with him after what he did, which is 100% understandable. Why would you want to be with someone, or why would you stay with someone who literally shows a hotel over you? He tells her, oh my god, this pisses me off as well. He tells her he will be waiting for her the next day at the top of the Empire State Building at 7, and if she isn't there by 7:01, he's closing his heart to her forever. So he loves her so much that he's only willing to wait 1 minute. 1 minute. If she's late by 1 minute, I'm out. Bye. I don't want to see you ever again. We're done forever. And like, he's the one who fucked up. Like, why is he giving her ultimatums when he is the one who fucked up? Like, I just don't understand. And like, they live in New York, where they don't walk, they go in limos, there's traffic. Okay, when Blair finally decides to meet him, Dorora goes into labor, resulting in her being too late, and finds the flower he had for her in the trash. Meanwhile, Chuck sleeps with Jenny out of desperation, devastation, whatever, out of emotion, which frustrates me because it had only been a few minutes. So Blair shows up confessing her feelings to him, and they get together. On their way to the hospital, he begins to propose but gets a very well-deserved punch by Dan, and it's revealed that Chuck slept with Jenny and they break up again. We'll talk about the whole sleeping with Jenny thing later on, but at the end of the season, he is mocked by two men and gets shot by one of them when trying to take back the ring, and the season ends with him bleeding in the middle of an alley. In the first episode of season 4, we found out that Chuck is alive when a woman named Eva, faking an identity to try and forget who he is. Serena tracks him down and discovers he wants to sell everything, and on his way out, Blair stops him and tells him she no longer loves him but cares for him. And he decides to go back to New York with Eva. By the way, that scene is so fucking iconic. Like, Blair with the whole red dress, and top tier moment for me, honestly. Chuck becomes kind thanks to Eva's influence, making a jealous Blair to find out she's a former escort, but Chuck isn't surprised. He breaks up with Eva thinking she actually knew who he was. However, it was Blair who planned it. Chuck declares war and sabotages in many aspects of her life. At Blair's birthday, they declare they hate each other and end up having sex. They become a weird version of friends with benefits at this point. They confess they love each other but don't get back together, saying that if it's meant to be, it will be. Another iconic Chuck and Blair moment, by the way. When he decides he wants Blair back, he finds out she kissed Dan and sets him up to show Blair that Dan isn't part of their war. This is another thing when Chuck and Blair, like, they just go on loops, and when, you know, oh, I want her back, but he finds out she did something, so he sabotages her and that person, and they don't get back together. Then she realizes she wants him back, but she realized he did something, so she gets mad and does something back to him. Then they date, and even when they're dating, it's the whole same cycle, which is not exactly a healthy relationship, may I admit. Unfortunately for Chuck, Blair refuses, claiming Chuck isn't ready for a relationship. Blair starts dating the prince, and when Chuck finds out they might get engaged, he crashes the ball and tells the prince's mom he's the love of Blair's life and gets kicked out. When she reveals to him that the prince proposed, Chuck smashes a window, cutting Blair's cheek and making her run away. After Chuck saves Blair, who was captured by one of the many people that want to destroy Chuck's life, honestly, I didn't care to remember who that person was. They go to a bar mitzvah party where they end up having sex. Blair says she will tell Louis that it's over, and she tells Chuck, this is not exactly important, but I thought to mention it, that she tells Chuck that the love she has for Louis, like, it's lighter, more simple, and he makes her happy. But when Chuck is intense and all-consuming, which is something that I just don't understand. Like, why would, if you have two choices, which you don't have two choices, but when you find yourself in those two options, when one is very consuming and the other one just, it's simple and makes you happy, why would you choose the more consuming one? Maybe this has something to do with me being a drama queen and a Leo, that I just have too much drama with myself, that I don't really need somebody else to bring more drama into my life, that I just prefer the simpler person. But it's just, I don't understand, why would you choose a consuming one? Like, that's a headache, that's a migraine waiting to happen. But whatever. I'm not Blair, so, and I do like Chuck and Blair. Louis is a fucking asshole, but like, still don't get it. However, Chuck is surprised that Louis was still waiting for Blair, so Chuck decides to step away. Blair asks why he did that, and he responds that he wants her to be happy. He says they need to let each other go, and they say they will always love each other. And I feel like this is a moment where we realize Chuck starts to change. However, I don't know if he actually changed. In season 5, Blair finds out she's pregnant with Louis' child. Chuck starts seeing a therapy, thank God. That is later revealed Louis was paying the therapist to scare Blair away from Chuck, but backfires, causing her to spend time away from Louis. Chuck apologizes to Blair for everything he's done wrong, and he's going to take care of himself from now on. They decide to get back together, planning to run away, but they get in a car accident. At Blair's wedding, Blair confesses to Chuck she loves him more and more every day.
Of course I love you, Chuck. I've always loved you. I love you more and more every day, if it's even possible to love someone that much.
Get out of here with me right now. We can go anywhere just as long as we're together.
Georgina records the conversation and it plays during the ceremony. Blair decides to marry Louis anyway, but realizes she made a mistake when it's revealed that he doesn't love her anymore. Blair is threatened by the prince's mom with the dowry of the prenup. Chuck offers to pay since it's a lot of money, which I want to know how actually rich Chuck Bass is, because according to the show it was so much money that it will bankrupt the Waldorf. But Chuck is so willing to pay for it that I'm just questioning how much rich he actually is. Because I could use a little bit of that money, you know what I mean? But Blair refuses Chuck's offer and says that she wants to fix it on her own. This is something really funny. It just made me laugh when I was writing the script. So Chuck finds out after the car accident that he needed a blood transfusion and that apparently Jack provided. However, he discovered that Jack has hepatitis C, which means he can donate blood. So he thinks it was Elizabeth, but she was in a monastery. So who did it? What was the point of this unnecessary information? Just another Pretty Little Liars style plot hole, I guess, Oh, talking about plot holes, it is revealed that Diana Payne is Chuck's mother. But when asked Elizabeth about it, she attaches a photo of her being pregnant with Chuck and Jack, making him wonder, and everybody wonder, who really are Chuck's parents. And we never find out, I believe. So, I don't know, there's something about the 2010s show where they really, really love plot holes. Because girl, what the fuck is this? It is revealed that Bart is alive and that he faked his death to protect Chuck and Lily. When Chuck discovers Blair is still with Dan, he tells her that he's tired of this game and that he wants to move on. Blair tells him she wants to be with him and not with Dan, but Chuck decides not to get together because he doesn't want to be her shadow. and later at the casino, she tells him she's all in into making it work between them. In season 6, Chuck and Blair made a deal. When Chuck defeats Bart and Blair succeeds at Waldorf Designs, they can be together, which I think is something very mature of both of them. You know, a lot of people do that, like when they conquer their individual goals, they will do, like, they get together, and I think that's kind of mature. After Blair cannot plan her fashion show, Chuck takes over for her. Chuck then figures out Bart's secret, that he was breaking federal law by conducting oil deals, and Chuck and Blair successfully show Lily that Bart is a murderer. Bart threatens Blair's safety, and he tells Chuck that the only way to keep everybody that he loves safe is by leaving to Russia forever. Chuck and Blair have an emotional farewell, and Chuck is on the plane. Later that night at Bart's party, it is revealed that Chuck's plane crashed and Chuck is presumed dead. But how the turntable, Chuck arrives and announces to everyone that Bart tried to kill him. Afterwards, the two bassmen get into a fight, resulting in Bart hanging off the roof, and Chuck and Blair watch Bart fall to his death. They flee the scene and hide. They get married to obtain a spousal privilege since the cops are looking for them. Bart's death is ruled as an accident for lack of evidence, and in the time jump, it's revealed they have a son, and both of them are successful.
You know you love me. XOXO.
The first thing I'll say is that I do chip them because they're iconic and for the aesthetics. I'm allowed to like problematic things. Doesn't mean that I'll be blind to how toxic their relationship actually is. Relationship based on scheming, using each other for their own individual benefit, cheating, and just, it goes nowhere. I guess you can argue they deserve each other because of these exact reasons, and I agree with you if it wasn't for all the things Chuck has done to her. I'm not gonna paint Chuck Bass as the only bad guy. Obviously, Blair has done very questionable things, and she has used Chuck and has hurt Chuck throughout the show. But I don't think that is comparable to the many things that he has done. For example, selling her for her hotel. Realistically, as much as I like them, I don't wish to have a relationship like them, and I don't think anybody wants it either. And I call this character development on myself because when I was 15 and I watched the show for the first time, I wanted a Chuck Bass so bad. I wanted to, and I feel like it was more because I wanted to be Blair Waldorf rather than wanted a Chuck Bass. But I did want a relationship like them, and every single one of my friends wanted a relationship just like them. And I'm just glad that now I realize, hey, that is toxic. That is, might argue that is abusive. So I'm just glad that I can finally see that now. Which is really funny because I saw a few comments saying that Chuck deserved better than Blair because Blair kept leaving and coming back, and that he deserves someone who would be there no matter what. I mean, there's a reason why Blair left so many times, because he made her question why she was in the position in the first place. He even made her question, like, you know, that was a toxic relationship. He was toxic to her, she was toxic to him too, but they were in the relationship wasn't great. If we look deep into it, it wasn't a great relationship. So I just don't understand the people that think that Chuck deserved better. I think neither of them deserved each other, but definitely Blair deserved somebody who was worthy of her because Chuck wasn't. I'm sorry, I said it. As much as I like the Chuck Bass from season 5 and 6 because I feel like he was a different person, I feel like he changed, or I don't know. He doesn't deserve to be with Blair. She never left his side. I mean, she has, but you know what I mean. She always came back, even though he has hurt her so much and put her through so much pain with, you know, the hotel thing with Jenny and his anger issues towards any man getting close to her, and that's not healthy. I'm sorry. I feel like the producers use Blair as a way to win him a sympathy card, and I hate the fact that it worked. Falling in love isn't a redemption arc. It may help to make some character development. It isn't character development on its own, but it might help to build one. But it's also not something to be redeemed for. And let's not be oblivious to the show clearly using Blair as a healer to Chuck, because according to society, women are fixers to men's problem, and we're not. No one is supposed to fix people. No one is supposed to try and change somebody, because people change for themselves. People don't change because you want them to change. Oh, and that wedding though, we're not even gonna talk about that, but what the fuck was that?
You know you love me. XOXO.
The golden ticket to make fans love the bad boy and excuse their toxic behavior. Please name me a bad boy, just one bad boy from any teen show that doesn't have daddy issues, whose reason for being the toxic, abusive person they are isn't daddy issues or mommy issues, any form of parent issues, childhood trauma, whatever. I'll wait. Are you done? I'm not saying characters can have daddy issues or mommy issues or childhood trauma, because we all have some, you know? But it's the fact that it's their excuse for being the way they are what triggers me. Like, having mental illness or trauma, it's not an excuse for your behavior. It's an explanation of why you behave this way you behave, but it's not excusable. Just go to therapy, please, and still putting people in misery just because your daddy didn't treat you right. The introduction of Bart being a horrible parent who expects only disappointment from Chuck also makes you want to root for him for the sole reason that he comes from a difficult home. And I just don't buy it. Like, I feel sorry for him and I feel sympathy for him, but it doesn't excuse all the horrible things that he has done.
You know you love me. XOXO.
I might be reaching here, but hear me out, just hear me out. There's two ways to make an unlikable character likable and someone that fans want to root for. One, give them a redemption arc, or two, introduce a worse character so you can sympathize for them. I believe they tried the second one with both Bart and Jenny, which I already talked about the daddy issues, and I'll explain the Jenny situation. I think we can all agree that no one likes Jenny in season 3. She becomes reckless, rude, ungrateful, makes very questionable friends. She's just not the same likable Jenny she was in season 1. I mean, I didn't completely hate her in season 3, and the more I rewatch Gossip Girl, the more I realize, I feel for her, because I feel like she was somewhat misunderstood and the show didn't know exactly what to do with her. But anyway, this is not a breakdown of her character. Chuck is also not a likable character at this point. Some people started rooting for him, but others not so much. They were still not on board with him. In season 3, he makes very questionable, horrible decisions, like selling Blair for a hoe. He later sleeps with Jenny, and I believe that the producer's choice of being Jenny and not a random girl was with the intention of shifting the blame from Chuck being an asshole and cheating on Blair to Jenny, a character we already don't like, being a slut for sleeping with Chuck, knowing that he was with Blair, especially since Blair and Jenny don't get along. I just think that the choice of being Jenny was very intentional, because otherwise they would have just put a random girl, just anybody. Why did it have to be with Jenny? Again, I might be reaching, I might be reading too much into things, so take this with a grain of salt. Just think about it and let me know on the comments what you think.
You know you love me. XOXO.
I will mention some good things about his character, because I don't want this video to be too negative, otherwise people are gonna fucking hate me. I believe the producers in season 1 didn't expect Chuck to be the character he was in the later seasons, which might explain why they make him such a hateful character in the beginning, and very non-redeemable at the same time. I feel like towards the end of season 4 and in season 5 and 6, we get a more mature Chuck, one that is a bit more selfless. I think he changed for Blair, or better said, he treated Blair a bit differently. And he realized he wanted Blair to be happy, and he put her happiness above his, realizing that he couldn't make her happy and was hurting her. And he stepped away when he realized Louis loved her and wanted her to be happy. So I think it's something that we can just 100% ignore, but this doesn't excuse anything that he has done, doesn't excuse his behavior towards other women. He almost Jenny in season 1. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really have anything else positive to say about him. He has very iconic lines, and he became a fashion icon. So
You know you love me. XOXO.
is there really a redemption arc when he doesn't ever acknowledge that he was a horrible person? He never once apologized or understood what he did was wrong. Hell, I don't even think he apologized to Blair for selling her over a hotel, even though he loved her. And honestly, I think he did apologize to Blair, but I don't think he understood the severity of his action, which is two different things. You can apologize for something that you did, but still not understand why what you did was problematic. His change, if he even actually changed, came from the producers introducing worse characters, putting him with Blair, the fans' favorite character, so obviously we want to root for him and want him to be better. So we will forget everything he did in the earlier seasons. And I mean, it's also really easy to forget everything he has done due to the fact that the show has new storylines every fucking episode that is so hard to keep up. I believe that the show's strategy was literally to victimize him. In the later seasons, like I already mentioned, he did become a more selfless person. He put others, well, Blair, before himself. And I do have to acknowledge that he does in fact change, or I don't want to say change, but he's different, you know? But I don't believe it excuses his past behaviors. The show tried so hard to fix Chuck Bass, a non-redeemable character, victimizing him with his daddy issues, his dad dying, losing his father's legacy to his uncle. It kind of worked. I mean, at the end, we were all rooting for Chuck Bass, and to this day, we're still rooting for Chuck Bass. But this shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have worked because they did nothing. He did nothing to earn that. I'm gonna give you an example for a character who also did horrible things. Well, he wasn't a but okay, and got a very well-deserved redemption arc, in my opinion. I don't know if you know this little amazing book series called Percy Jackson. It's my favorite book series, and if you don't like it, keep it to yourself. And if you haven't read it, I really highly suggest you to read it. I'll try not to spoil, but that's not my biggest attribute, so don't count me on that. There's this character, Lucas Stellan, who made some very bad choices, to say the least. He went from being a good person to finding out he actually wants to destroy the world, more specifically the gods. We see him being a villain until the very last book, where he realized what he had done. Although it was too late for an apology, he did everything he could to try to stop what he had done, helping Percy Jackson as much as possible, and he dies as a hero. Oops. I warned you. The thing is, I believe people can change. Perhaps not so much, but people change for themselves because they want to change. People don't change because somebody else wants them to, or because of somebody else. No. Most people change or realize they have to change when they hit some form of rock bottom, which is what happened to Luke. He got to a place where he didn't have anything left. He didn't have his mom, he didn't have his friends, he was just completely alone. And he realized he was being used to and lied to. I believe Chuck has never hit rock bottom. When his father fake died, he was never a good father, so no. When he lost his company to his uncle, that storyline only lasted an episode and he still was in a pretty good position. He didn't lose anything technically. So no. When Blair broke up with him in season 3, I guess. And I believe that's where the redemption arc, or the attempted redemption arc, sort of began. Because I mean, he was shot in the very last episode with just a desire of keeping the only thing that tied him to Blair, the engagement ring. And they left him bleeding in the middle of an alley, obviously for you to, you know, get emotional and be like, oh my god, is he gonna survive or not? They did try to make him a better man in the beginning of season 4 when the whole Eva thing and him faking a new identity. So yeah, they did try to make him change. They did try an redemption arc. However, all of that goes to shit when he comes back to New York and he goes back to his old self, destroying people's life. So did he actually have a redemption arc, or did the producer just make you forget about everything he had done? I believe there's no growth without acknowledgement of past errors and apologies to the ones you've hurt, and of course changing. Without action, words are just words. Actions speak louder than words. So do I believe he changed? Maybe, but he didn't get a redemption arc, honestly. Because at no point did he felt remorse for the things that he did. When he received the harassment lawsuits, he didn't even apologize to them. He just tried to pay them off and that was it. I don't think he ever apologized to Jenny for attempting to, even if he did apologize to her. Like, you gave her fucking trauma. You can't just go up to the person that you tried to and be like, hey, sorry for trying to rape you. Like, I feel like his character needed more work, and I just honestly hate the fact that we just completely, and I'm gonna count myself there because I was there. I completely forgave him for everything that he did when I watched the show for the first time. So I guess what I don't like is the fact that we just forgot everything he did and we call him, you know, a good man at the end of the show, and we all want a boy like him, when in reality you shouldn't want a boy like him.
You know you love me. XOXO.
So, did he deserve the redemption arc? I don't know. It's hard to make this video because part of me, the one who loves Gossip Girl to death, wants to think that he actually did deserve it and that he actually changed and become an overall better man. But on the other hand, there's my 20-year-old self who cannot get past season 1 when trying to rewatch the show because it's impossible. The writing is so awful and there's so much unnecessary plot lines. And, you know, I'm someone who knows better, knows he didn't fucking change or deserved it because he did nothing to be redeemed for. And don't change. But it's just really hard for me to think about it because it's like it's just that I don't want to face the truth. Like, the truth is right in front of me. It's in the script. By everything that I've just said, it's pretty clear what the answer is, but I just don't want to say it. So I'm just gonna let you make your own conclusion. I'm gonna let you, you know, decide for yourself. If I were to fix his character, mind you, I'm no writer, I've never been to film school or anything fancy like that. If I were to fix them, I would have made Blair and Chuck not get together until the very last season of the show, making them work on themselves alone, possibly win a therapist, date other people, grow, become the best version of themselves, and then get back together. Which the show sort of did that, but I would have just removed the friends and benefit thing that they had in season 4. and all the, you know, times that they slept together in season 5, like I would have just removed all of that and have them living kind of like a separate lives away from each other, because I feel like you need to be separate to like actually work on yourself, and then, you know, I don't know. Chuck could have had a good redemption arc if the writers cared to put the effort that it required, and it required a lot of effort because he was basically not redeemable in the first season. It's no secret that the producers of the show didn't know what to do in Gossip Girl in season 1, so it's not surprising that they didn't know how to fix Chuck Bass. Gossip Girl was never the iconic show that it was after season 1. All the other seasons stay flat, and that also goes to the characters. They were never as iconic or as good as they were in season 1. So yeah, that's my 2 brain cells while editing.
You know you love me. XOXO.
So yeah, conclusion, thoughts. I have none. I mean, that's a lie. I actually do have many thoughts. And I've been, you know, this video took me way longer to plan than it should have. I refuse to hurt my 15-year-old self more than I'm already hurting her with the truth. All I'm saying here is not a lie. It's exactly what happened in the show. And then obviously my opinion. I don't know. It's really hard to rewatch Gossip Girl realizing that Chuck doesn't exactly change. Like, I mean, he doesn't. Like, the Chuck that we see in season 5 and season 6, it was just like a 180 that the producers did on his character, kind of like in Pretty Little Liars what they did to Allison, except that with Allison it was bad because no one exactly wanted her to change, and there was exactly no reason for her to change. But Chuck, it was someone that we all wanted him to change, and he did change. Well, did he? Oh my god, did I just said that he didn't change, and now I'm saying that he did change. I don't know, I'm just gonna end this video. Whew. I'm gonna leave this video right here because I'm literally killing myself over just everything, and I don't want this video to be more than half an hour long. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't hate me if you have a different opinion. I'm so scared to upload this video because I know people love Chuck Bass so much, and I love Chuck Bass, but it's like the truth has to be said, okay? And I'm sorry, my next video is probably gonna be a tier list because I need to recharge. I need to, you know, calm down because this took so much mental capacity on me. Let me know down below your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!